Indiana Pacers are heading to the Eastern Conference Finals. We had a big Game 7 earlier today. There's another one going on right now. I'm recording quickly in between because I want to give you guys this video, but also I want to get back to the game too. Stay tuned because I think tomorrow, or maybe the next day, we'll see. I think tomorrow though, I will be putting up a video talking about the Knicks off-season moves because there's a lot to talk about from them. But anyway, let's get to this game. I was blown away with how the Pacers came out. Now we'll talk about their shooting throughout the game, which was historic actually. But I was actually shocked how loose and confident they came out in this Game 7. And oppositely, I was actually shocked that the Knicks came out as flat as they did. But part of that is due to the fact that they were just physically exhausted. Like, there are physical limits, you know what I mean? So like, I'm not saying they just came out flat and didn't show up. I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that they were exhausted because we've seen them all year. Like, they play hard as they can. So I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that they were beyond physically exhausted, but I was still shocked that even the crowd didn't give them an extra adrenaline. Again, I'm not saying they did not try hard. They definitely were trying. I'm just saying you could tell which team had more energy, which team had fresher legs. That was clearly the Pacers. But let me talk about it from the Pacers standpoint for a moment because they had historic numbers. They literally made playoff history for shooting. I believe they ended up at 67.1%, which was 0.1% better than the record, which was 67%. Field goal percentage for the entire game, for the whole team. Do you know how ridiculous that is to shoot 67% from the field? And for a large portion of the game, they were up over 70%. Like, that is historic shooting numbers. And I understand that, again, there were some defensive lapses from the Knicks standpoint and stuff like that. But the Pacers were just not missing. Like, they were literally not missing. And any team, all other 29 teams, if they were playing the Pacers and they shot that percentage against them, they would probably lose too. Like, there was really nothing else the Knicks could do from that standpoint. Even when the Knicks would go on a little run, the Pacers answered it every single time. They just could not miss. Aaron Nesmith he had 16 points and he was 7 for 7 from the field at one point. I don't remember if he ended up that way. Pascal Siakam hit like his first 6 shots. TJ McConnell was like 6 for 7 from the field. Tyrese Halliburton was cooking from 3. It was just everybody was making shots. Shout out to Miles Turner. He had a very, very good game. He was everywhere on the floor. He had a few blocks. He was just making it happen on defense. Game 3, in my opinion, was the turning point of this series. I know the Knicks won Game 5. And really, in all honesty, I really thought the Knicks were going to win this series, especially after they won Game 5. But again, the physical limits is kind of, where it ended for them. Like, the physical exhaustion and the piles and piles of injuries. Like, there was nothing else they could do. They were down so many people and stuff like that. But for me, Game 3 was the turning point for the Pacers. Here's why. If you watch this series, you know that Games 1 and 2, and even in Game 3, even though the Pacers were home, and even though the Pacers had double-digit leads, I believe, in Games 1 and 2, they definitely had a double-digit lead in Game 1 for sure. But they were basically leading throughout both of those games. And while you may think, well, the Pacers had a lead, so they obviously knew what they were doing, you could tell that the Knicks just had an answer. Like, they knew exactly how to back them down, similar to yesterday, OKC versus the Mavs. OKC had a sizable lead, but the Mavs have experience, and they knew how to slow it down and get a certain shot at a certain time. And OKC didn't exactly know how to respond because they've never been there before, you know what I'm saying? So the Knicks were doing that to the Pacers, and the Pacers looked defeated each time. And if the Knicks had won that Game 3, I think the series might have been a sweep. The Andrew Nembhard Miracle 3, I think, saved the Pacers season because it gave them a little bit of confidence, like, okay, maybe we can beat this team. Like, I feel like, and they'll never admit this, of course, and I don't know for sure because I'm not in the locker room, but just based on how they were playing, both teams, it looked like the Pacers felt like, I don't know if we could beat them. And then when they beat them Game 4 and blew them out, their confidence really started to skyrocket. The longer this series went on, the more confidence the Pacers built that they could actually beat the Knicks. And I think that is a large part as to why they won this series and as to why they won in Game 7 today. Because I think they went into Game 7 feeling the most confident in the entire series. I know you're thinking, like, how did they go into MSG feeling the most confident? Like, it's MSG, they're home, the Knicks always play hard. But besides the fact, again, the pile of injuries, of course, and the Knicks just being physically exhausted, those two things were a huge, portion as to why the Knicks lost. But on top of that, again, confidence matters. And a young team like the Pacers, who most of them have never been there before, you have to learn through experiences. And you don't always get it right on the first time. Again, as we saw, OKC unfortunately lost yesterday. But I think the Pacers went in there feeling like, okay, we actually figured some things out. We have confidence that we could beat them. And so that's why they came out loose and not super tight and just, missing shots. Because Game 7, sometimes the rim tends to look smaller because pressure is on. But I feel like they didn't feel that same pressure just because they had built up the confidence over the previous, 4 games or so. Because I feel like in the Milwaukee series, they weren't really tested because, let's be honest, I was about to say Dame, but Dame also wasn't there for a portion of the series. But Giannis wasn't there for the whole series, and Dame was hobbled, and he missed a couple of games. And so, okay, yes, they're all NBA players, and I say this all the time. Anybody can beat anybody on any given night, and they are all talented. Everybody can play. But we all know that the Milwaukee Bucks, without Dame and Giannis, it's not really a test for the Pacers. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't really a test to show what are we made of in the playoffs and who can we beat. And although the Knicks were also hobbled throughout the series, so the Pacers are going to have a really big test when they go up against the Celtics. That'll be the biggest test for them. But what the Knicks did was the Knicks always played super hard, and they gave them a tough time. And again, they were, beating them the first 2 games. It didn't look good for the Pacers. So they really had to dig deep and figure out how to win. This was different than the other series. So I feel like this is going to be big time for the Pacers moving forward. This confidence boost may actually help them. And I don't know, we're not going to get into prediction right here about Celtics versus Pacers, maybe another video. But I feel like this is going to really help them in that series moving forward. And because the Celtics don't have Porzingis, Miles Turner is going to be big time in that series, or at least he should be. And that can really help the Pacers have an X factor to potentially win that series. Again, I'm not making a prediction that the Pacers are going to win or that the Celtics are going to win. I'm just saying, if Miles Turner is big time like he should be because there is no Porzingis, that could really, really hurt the Celtics, game plan. But anyway, we're not getting into that series here. I just want to say, congratulations to the Pacers. They did what they were supposed to do. Or I guess not do what they were supposed to do because they were not home. But you know what I mean. The Pacers went on the road and took care of business. And now they get to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. And if you're a Knicks fan, it is a sad ending. It definitely is, because this team had so much potential. And when they were fully healthy, it really looked like pretty much nobody could beat them. They were cooking everybody. But now you have the summer to rest up, make a couple of moves. Like I said, I'm going to make an off-season video for them soon. So, sad ending, yes, but it's going to go up from here. You have to lose a couple of times in the playoffs before you get to, the championship. So, don't be too sad. It was a successful season. The fact that you made it this far with all those injuries, that's a testament to how hard you play.